and gentlemen, stand up and get loud for the greatest talk show in television history, everybody.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. This is episode 408, being recorded on Wednesday evening, January 24th, 2018. Tonight is going to be a big one. We are previewing Takeover Philadelphia. We're also going to be taking a look at the New Japan shows happening this weekend as well, the New Beginning in Sapporo, and the Royal Rumble. My name is Nick, and with me this week is Adam. How's it going, Adam?
Not too bad, Nick. How you doing?
I am doing fantastically. Fantastica Mania, one might say. Also with me is Garvin. How you doing, Garvin?
Sup?
All right. Before we get truly started in the predictions and prognostication, there have been a few instances of note over the last couple weeks since we last recorded. Firstly, a little bit of indie news. Jeff Cobb was pulled from an independent event, the 16 Carat tourney for WXW over in Germany. And the reason for that is that it conflicted with the tapings for Season 4 of Lucha Underground. So it's more confirmation. Season 4 of Lucha Underground is actually happening. Personally, I would be more excited to see Jeff Cobb fight Matt Riddle than any match he could put on as Matanza, but that's just me.
Yeah, it is just you. It is just you.
So yeah, like I guess we could go ahead and transition. Like, how stoked are you guys for this news? Like, Lucha Underground, I think it was already confirmed for Season 4, but like this is just more icing on the cake, extra confirmation that this is happening.
You might as well call me a fire, because I am super stoked for the fact that Lucha Underground is happening. So stoked, in fact, that I love to make super lame dad jokes about it, because my brain can't handle any more, information. It can't process it enough. So that's the comedy gold you get.
Thank you, Adam Fire. Garvin, we turn to you.
So it's actually Adam Pyre, but no, this news doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some, but overall, this isn't the first cancellation, so whatevs. But
sure.
One match does not equal a season of Lucha Underground for me. So I'm also stoked.
Good to hear. And for those that are excited about the 16 Carat tourney, which in its own right is a pretty big deal on the indies, Keith Lee is replacing him. So that is going to be super fun to watch. I'm actually going to try and hunt that match down when it happens. Keith Lee versus Matt Riddle. But on to more WWE-centric news. First of all, some unfortunate news. Samir Singh of Singh Brother and Jinder Mahal fame, he is on the shelf with an ACL injury. Not exactly sure when this happened. The speculation is that it seemed to have happened after the match Bobby Roode had against Mojo Rawley during the push to see who would become the new United States champion. But yeah, no word really on when he's going to be fully recovered from that. There seems to be a big spectrum on recovery time depending on how serious the injury was. But apparently the surgery was successful. So yeah, all I can do is hope for a speedy recovery, because Samir Singh is kind of the glue that holds that whole unit of him, his brother, and Jinder together. The Singh brothers are easily the most entertaining part of Jinder Mahal's whole gimmick. So yeah, get well soon.
Yeah, they usually say 2 to 9 months, but I think it's like 6 months for athletes.
Yeah, that's a bummer. So like SummerSlam, maybe.
Yeah, it's not like he was going to have a Mania moment. So
you don't know.
Armbar. He was going to win the armbar. Duh.
No, he's not a big dude. He couldn't pull off the Andre pose.
Andre trophy would be taller than he was.
Yeah, there's no way he's lifting that. But on to other unfortunate news. Obviously, the women's Rumble match is taking place, the first of its kind. But Stephanie McMahon announced today that she is going to be joining the commentary team for that match. I know I, for one, will decide to see how good another commentary team is, and maybe the German team or Funaki and Shun Yamaguchi. Are either of you guys any more excited about that, or is it kind of whatever? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this doesn't bother me. I mean, commentary you barely pay attention to anyways anymore. So yeah, this doesn't bother me. But I did see that the WWE Network Twitter account showed how to turn it off, at least her off. I didn't read further into the tweet, but they are already responding.
They were pointing out how to change languages. In response to somebody asking.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to change my I'm not going to change my settings. Whatever.
I mean, for the most part, when I watch pay-per-views now, I'm usually watching it with someone else. So like, commentary is usually relegated to background noise. If I was watching it by myself, it might be a little bit more of a bother. I do think that she is better in general on the mic with keeping focus. For the most part, every now and again, she obviously has hiccups. So I would hope that she'd be less moment killing as her dad was on commentary. But I guess that kind of remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's not so much her promo ability that concerns me. It's just that ever since the announcement was made, it was never about like how others have casted, like Beth Phoenix has casted. Like, this is just what we deserve. Like, we're just as good as the men. We should have a Rumble. It's Stephanie's more talked about it like at every opportunity. It seems like just another one of those making history things. And that's what I'm concerned about with commentary. Like, especially when they have guests on it, sometimes they'll cut back to the person on commentary on screen, and the camera direction is already bad enough. So I don't know. I'm not expecting great things from it.
Yeah, but that match is so hectic anyways. Like, at least for me, I'm never glued to my chair to see what happens, at least until maybe the final four. So her talking is not that big of a deal, considering just that match and the fact that I'll probably be, walking around and not totally paying attention because of how hectic it is.
Well, and to your point, Nick, I think that's sort of like what I'm getting at with the moment killing stuff. Like, Vince was pretty notorious for not letting things stand on their own and feeling like he had to sell like literally everything. Everybody always points to the big moment with Shawn Michaels ziplining over the crowd and how Vince's commentary, it doesn't overall like destroy that moment, but when you hear it with the commentary on, it's a little deflated because for whatever reason Vince felt like he had to add to it. He had to make sure everyone knew just how amazing that was, rather than just obviously letting it speak for itself, and people just automatically know this is not what wrestlers normally do. So yeah, we get it. It's already a normal thing. And I know Stephanie's better at that, but given that she would have to talk, I'm assuming, for an hour plus, there's a good chance that she could oversell things a little bit, which is my concern, which I think kind of does tie into your point too about making history and all that. Like, if she continually drives that point home, it's like, no, just let the Rumble match speak for itself. Those women, they already have the tools to make this history making. You don't have to constantly tell us. Show, don't tell.
Absolutely. One final bit of news. I'm sure that anybody that has been following wrestling, anybody who is remotely aware of social media or even the product itself, will probably have heard that Enzo Amore is no longer with the WWE. In terms of the on-screen product, he has vacated the Cruiserweight title. Nobody knows yet what's going to be done about that. There's going to be a new GM named for 205 Live next week, and presumably we'll find out who's going to fight for the title then. But outside of the company, It turns out that Enzo Amore has been under investigation in Phoenix, Arizona since October for claims of sexual harassment and sexual assault. The only reason we're finding out about this now is that Enzo didn't tell his employers about it until the person filing the claim made it public less than a week ago. And that landed him in pretty hot water, deservedly so. To say nothing of whether he's innocent or guilty, like, he hid that shit from his employers. And you just don't do that. So I, for one, am not at all sad to see him go. I have thought he's been a scumbag for a long, long time. But yeah, if these allegations are true, which it's sounding more and more like they are, then fuck him.
Yeah, and, many know that I have stuck up for Enzo in the past, and seemingly out of his character that we generally see week to week. Some of the glimpses I saw on WWE.com and the network, like his tattoo episode with Corey Graves and other things of that nature, led me to believe, that his character was a very amplified version of his real self. Obviously this, I will gladly eat crow if it means, as Nick put it, one less scumbag, riding high on the hog, so to speak. It's a shame, I didn't want to believe, I guess, that, his character was his real person, but it sure seems like that's the case. And good riddance. Well,
that is pretty much it for news stories. Let's go ahead and jump into the discussions at hand. I'll leave it up to you guys. Which do you guys want to talk about first? The New Japan shows, Takeover. Go ahead and get started with the Rumble. What are you guys thinking?
I'd be fine with the Rumble. Live chat seems to be going for the Rumble.
Okay.
It does seem to be the shortest card.
Yeah, it actually does. There are only 6 matches on the card right now. Obviously, the Cruiserweight title was supposed to be defended at the Rumble, but that's not going to happen. Also, it seems like at some point, the U.S. title, like the finals in that tournament, was set to take place at the Rumble as well. But again, obviously, that didn't happen. Bobby Roode is the United States champion. So here is a card as it currently stands. We have AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a handicap match for the WWE Championship. Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan will be defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against The Bar. The Usos will be contending with American Alpha II in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Brock Lesnar will be fending off Braun Strowman and Kane in a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. And we have not only the Men's Royal Rumble, but also the Women's Royal Rumble. So, let's go ahead and get started with the first match on the dock, the handicap match for the WWE title. There was an interesting development this week on the Go Home show, wherein Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens stood tall over AJ Styles. Sami Zayn actually beat AJ Styles, which is interesting enough on its own, but he did it with a Blue Thunder Bomb, which I don't think I've ever seen him do in the WWE, not since like early days in NXT. But there was a little bit of a wrinkle wherein Owens appears to have injured himself. He was trapped in the calf crusher, and he got out of that, rolled outside, and it looked like medical staff were seeing to him. That sparked a whole lot of rumors. Is Kevin Owens hurt? Will he be pulled from the match, or is he going in working hurt? My theory is that this is just to kind of make it look a little more even for AJ. I certainly hope Kevin's not actually hurt, but those are the circumstances as they stand right now. So, Adam, let me ask you, who do you think is going to walk away with the WWE Championship?
As much as I would like it to be Sammy, because I'd just love to see him with the title, I just don't think that this angle really serves him well as champion. Nor do I really think, I think this, again, comes up to that Jericho 2.0 thing. Like, the friendship only it works as long as it serves Kevin Owens. And I don't think we're going to get another Owens Zayn match at any time between the Royal Rumble and Mania. So I kind of, as cool as it would be to see, like, that would be kind of the one thing, even though it's been a minute, it's been probably a good 4 to 6 months since we've seen them mix it up against each other, if not longer than that. So I'm not going to say that I could necessarily lean on the, stereotypical, well, they fight all the time. Granted, the rivalry, I don't think will ever die, even with them being his friends. And so that's like the one thing that I would like to see from their rivalry is to have a giant, main event level WrestleMania match. All their other matches being, pretty high profile pay-per-view matches, even when they're on TV, pay-per-view quality, to see what they would possibly pull out for, as they like to say, the granddaddy of them all, would be quite interesting. But I just don't see that being the direction that Zayn and Owens go in. Not when you have Nakamura, not when they were already teasing it at Money in the Bank. I'm pretty positive that we're going to see Styles Nakamura for the WWE title come WrestleMania time. And I don't know if Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens will even be sniffing the WWE title, to be honest. So I'm picking AJ Styles.
So how about you, Garvin? Where do you think this match is going to end up?
I am the opposite. I think there is a lot of life left there. And I don't know. To me, it seems pretty obvious that they would go with Owens and Zayn, and they're co-champions, not one or the other. So you hold the co-champions, and then the fighting begins on the road to WrestleMania. So to me, that's what I see in WrestleMania, is them two, not necessarily for the title, because that's what we wanted last year with Owens and Jericho, and it didn't happen. So, but I definitely do think that is the WrestleMania match for Owens and Zayn. But yeah, to start, it would be them both holding the title. So that's the route I'm going.
I think Kevin and Sammy would be able to make a co-championship work really well.
Hilariously well.
Yeah. Certainly at least as well as Michelle McCool and Layla did.
Well, I hope they don't tear the WWE title in half.
I just hope that in whatever universe that took place, that they would also bring in Loki as their young boy. But I think I have to pick AJ Styles to retain here, because I think he does go on to defend at Mania, and I think I'm very much in line with you, Adam, in that I think Nakamura is winning the Rumble, and I think that's what we're going to see at Mania. I think we're going to see Styles versus Nakamura finally. But next on the docket, we just picked for the WWE Championship. Let's go ahead and pick for the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman versus Kane. Firstly, is there any chance in any circle of hell that Kane wins this?
Yes. I think that's definitely a good
defend yourself.
Well, I think that's definitely a good sleeper pick for those out there that want something different. No, I could definitely see WWE going in that direction. Maybe
for Vegas odds.
Yeah, definitely for Vegas odds. I could see WWE going in that direction where I don't know, but that's the thing. It's like I don't know who would take the pinfall without looking weak. And my belief is they added Kane in that match so that neither Braun or Brock got the pin over one another. So that's not my pick, but I am saying that is a huge possibility.
Yeah, I think if Raw 25 showed us anything, it's that they're absolutely willing to put over older talent in favor of younger stars. But I'm also with you in that would be the absolute dumbest thing, and Kane has to be here to eat the pin. I think he's going to be getting pinned by Lesnar. I don't see Braun walking away with that title yet, because I feel like Balor is gearing up for a run himself. And I just feel like Balor versus Lesnar has more legs than Balor versus Braun. Because there's also an added element of Balor being the first Universal Champion. He never actually lost it. And the argument could be made that Lesnar's been ducking Balor. So I don't know. I think there's more storyline options there. I think there's a better storyline options there. Even though Braun versus Balor would be fun to watch, but not for the same reasons.
I'm pulling for Brock Lesnar too. Well, not necessarily pulling for him. Really, I don't really have a dog in this fight as far as who I want to see win, but I think Brock is going to win. I think it's kind of ludicrous to think that they would leave the title on him this long, since arguably last year's Mania, and then take it away within the last 2 months of the run. I still have a sneaking suspicion that just as was rumored after last year's Rumble, that Brock versus Reigns 2 is still on the cards for Mania, though I do agree with Nick. I'd rather see Brock versus Balor, to be honest. I don't know, though. I don't think they're clever enough to pretend to be sleeping on Balor right now, only to kind of turn the tide. I would love to be proven wrong. Once again, I will gladly eat crow next week if I'm totally wrong on that. But either way, I still think Brock comes away with the title.
My actual pick is Braun, and I know there's been a lot of negativity towards Braun and how they've been doing his segments and everything, but I gotta be honest, like, I love Braun. I love everything about it, just how over the top and obnoxiously overpowering they make him out to be. I don't necessarily like all of the segments, how they pan out, especially the one where Angle like fires him and then doesn't fire him. I thought that was kind of lame, but just how like destructing he is towards everything, I think is just fantastic. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Braun.
I mean, just as an aside, I agree. I think Braun is very entertaining considering how far he's come since leaving the Wyatt family, and arguably even including his Wyatt family run. I do think he's cultivated a character that works, and it doesn't have to necessarily be super complex, and the fans are into it, But at the same time, I don't think this is the time for him to be champion. Maybe after Mania. I think that's a more likely option. And I do think it would provide some more interesting possibilities if Braun were to win. But we all know WWE is very pig-headed when it comes to their idea of what they think should be the payoff at WrestleMania, and I don't think Braun Strowman is included in that. Not this year, anyway.
I think Braun makes for the best post-Mania opponent for Balor after he wins the title. I've definitely warmed up to Braun a lot more after his program with Reigns. I think he became more grounded for me. Like, they kind of got away from doing all of the ambulance flipping, like, supernaturally strong nonsense.
Well, he did just flip like a semi.
Yeah,
like
the semi.
A week ago, 2 weeks ago.
They got back to that in the last couple of weeks because, like, that's what you do when you throw in three of the company's monsters. Like, you just build and build and build to a degree that is absolutely stupid. But yeah, he's definitely warmed up to me as a character. He's fleshed himself out a lot more. He has encountered adversity, and he has overcome that adversity, and he's become much more human in that respect. And the crowd just fucking loves him to the point that he can be teaming up with Alexa Bliss in the Mixed Match Challenge and cast himself in such a way that it doesn't detract from his personality, but he still manages to make that work.
Yeah.
And then, like, in the week before Christmas, they put out that video of him as Elf, the eponymous Will Ferrell movie. And that didn't detract at all from the monstrous persona he cultivates on TV. That just casts another facet of him. And it's I've really warmed up to him. Not enough to the point that I really want to see him go over Lesnar here, but I definitely appreciate what he's doing for the most part.
So two things. One is your match post WrestleMania. I think it sounded like Braun versus Finn. Why do we have to wait till after WrestleMania for that? Like, why couldn't we could easily have that at WrestleMania? Braun holding the title.
Because WWE is dumb.
I don't know, man. You have Braun holding the title. Finn wins the Rumble.
I mean, it's a possibility. It's not going to happen.
I agree that it's a possibility, but I don't think the best story is there. I think that Brock has, like, if he gets past Braun and Kane at the Rumble, that's fuck. I don't even remember how long he's been holding the belt. Way too damn long, but
since last year's Mania, that's when he won it off of Goldberg.
Yeah, that's true. Like, where would the value be in Lesnar dropping it now if they're going to have Balor go after it?
Same. I agree 100% with that.
Well, Undertaker just came back.
Yeah, but wasn't that to kind of lay to rest any kind of rumors that he's actually coming back in ring capacity?
It was so like vague and odd. I have no idea. I do know commentary did say was that a warning? So I don't know the story they're telling. At least coming off of that promo, but even on, I think it was Raw this week, probably Michael Cole, he did say. He did call it the return of The Undertaker.
If Taker comes back for a match at Mania, I'm unsubscribing. Fuck that shit.
I don't know if I would go quite that far, but I do have to agree. It was such a fitting end last WrestleMania for Taker.
Every time he's come back has been such a fitting end.
But I mean, that one I think was possibly the most fitting.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke kayfabe. He kissed Michelle at the ringside. He left his stuff in the ring. Like, if that's not a clear message, I don't know what is.
Well,
and what else does he really have to prove? I mean, who would you even put him up against? I wouldn't put him up against any of the three guys in the Universal title match. And
no, because Strowman and Lesnar would legit kill him.
Yeah. And a Kane Taker for the nostalgia and possibly to put an end to, their beef with each other, maybe. But I just feel like it's too little too late. If and many people were saying this, 3, 4, 5 years ago, if Sting Taker is too late, then Kane Taker is definitely too late. And we've gotten a million versions of that already. So I don't see really any incentive for Taker to be back, other than to lose to another young and up and coming star. And I don't know of anyone who really needs that push, at this point. All of the young up and coming talent pretty much have their shit in the bag. They know what they're doing and they sell it well every week. So I think it would definitely be like just that one, this is Uncle Bob at the barbecue, heading for the cooler when you could see him stumbling and bumbling all over the place, and you just want to stop him from having that one last beer.
Yeah, in the last 5 years, the three people I've seen that people really want him to face were Sting, Taker, and Cena. And instead, they chose Lesnar, Reigns, and Wyatt. So, yeah, the ship has sailed on that. Like, they made their choices. Taker's fucking old. They gotta live with it.
So, yeah, I'm not sure, dude. I mean, I could easily see how they could turn this to Undertaker wanting one last opportunity to go out with respect, with honor.
Yeah, but they did that already.
Yeah, and
I know.
I mean,
I know that, but I'm saying I could also see them coming up with reasons like that to just to do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to break the streak. at this point. There's no reason to prove that you're the biggest dog in the yard. Like I said, the only viable, and I think that's very telling of what you can even do with The Undertaker at this point. The only really viable from out of nowhere, sorry for the pun, contender that makes sense for him to fight just because of their previously long and storied history is Kane. No one else really makes any logical sense to me.
Yeah, but it's a WWE. It doesn't have to. So
I suppose that's fair.
Yeah. So I think we have discussed the Universal Championship picture more than we really ought to have.
Sure.
So let's discuss the Raw Tag Team title match. Rollins and Jordan versus The Bar. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've kind of had enough of The Bar fighting for a title. I would like somebody else to have a turn. So I'm probably picking more with my heart than my head right here, but I want Rollins and Jordan to win. Like, I don't even care if they're a good team or not. Like, I just want The Bar out of the title picture for a little bit.
I kind of agree, but I also acknowledge that regardless of how many times that The Bar has either challenged or defended, that they are still a really great team. And I'd personally rather see a really great team holding the belts and then getting some new blood into the tag team division, which I've been outcrying for months and months and months, than a ramshackle team that I don't like. The strange bedfellows. We don't really kind of see eye to eye except for when we have to, kind of thing. They did that with, frankly, Sheamus and Cesaro when they first teamed up, and I thought that was dumb. Now that they've grown far past that and actually cultivated a gimmick for themselves, I really do like their team. But that whole it just, I don't know, to me kind of demeans the tag team division and titles. The whole point is that you develop such a bond with your partner that you are almost as one. You are such a team that you could not be separated. Or if you are, you go far and away from the tag titles at that point, typically. And I don't get that vibe, obviously, with Rollins and Jordan. And I know also they're champs because some injuries happened and that didn't totally work out for everyone behind the scenes. But it also seems very telling that Jordan, I think, will be pushed away from Seth sooner than later. I have a feeling he's going to – I don't know if Angle's going to compete, but I have a feeling he and Angle and, possibly a surrogate to fight against Jordan, maybe representing the Authority or someone else. I don't know. It's very possible that something like that happens come WrestleMania time and we get a conclusion to that story. And I don't see Jordan being involved with the tag division at all by that point. So if that's the case, I'd rather see a solid, finally cultivated, well-oiled team hold the titles and defend against hopefully a new team. It would be nice if Authors of Pain showed up on Raw, but that's just my own fantasy booking at that point.
So, just a quick question: in your scenario, wherein Rollins and Jordan drop the titles and The Bar win, and Jordan and Rollins drift apart as a result, wait, are you forecasting like a tag team match in the making between like Jordan and Angle and the Authority, whoever that might be?
I don't know about a throw out tag team match per se. Maybe, Jordan versus, person X with Angle as the ref, or Angle's in his corner or something like that. It's possible that we get a tag match between Angle and Jordan. It's also even possible, potentially, we could see a singles match between them. It does seem that Angle is starting to get a little... Not even starting. I think he has been for a couple months now, getting a little perturbed at Jordan kind of like there's gusto and then there's stupidity, and I think Jordan has shown a lot more stupidity and cockiness lately than actual, I'm going to stand up and do the right thing kind of thing, and I think that's starting to show the cracks in their relationships a little bit. So it's possible that they even have a singles match, but whether I don't exactly know. It could be single, it could be tag, could be Angle fills a managerial / referee role. But I do think something involving the two of them is going to possibly come to a head at Mania.
Yeah, it kind of has to.
Yeah, I think so too.
Garvin, what do you think about this tag match? Like, do you see like all of that miscommunication, the just not being on the same page between Rollins and Jordan? Do you think that cost him the title?
Easily. I think it easily could cost them the title. So yeah, for sure. I'm going with the bar. I'm generally with you that I'd like some variety to have the bar continue to fight for the titles, or to continue to be in that mix. It does bother me a little, but that still doesn't detract away from my my liking that tag team. So so I'm fully behind the bar winning, and I think distractions are most likely what's going to cause it.
Okay. Let me posit a scenario to the two of you guys, wherein Rollins and Jordan defeat the bar and retain the titles, but say, what's the next show? Elimination Chamber? Fastlane?
Fastlane, yeah.
Okay. Let's say Jordan and Rollins do win by the skin of their teeth, or Jordan going off on his own and him like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. What if the Revival step up next?
I'm into it.
Would you be okay with Jordan and Rollins retaining here at the Rumble and then dropping it to the Revival, say?
Just to clarify, it's Elimination Chamber in February. That's the Raw pay-per-view.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fastlane is the SmackDown on March 11th.
Oh, so they're both happening before May.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. SmackDown did have Elimination Chamber last year, and they've been alternating.
Yeah, I remember now.
Okay, so Elimination Chamber then.
I mean, either team challenging the Revival, I think, would be a pretty good match. Despite all the miscommunication, like Jordan and Rollins are not a bad team by any stretch, but they don't scream tag team to me. They scream two guys thrown together who happen to have to defend belts that involve two people in their defense. The bar does scream tag team, and in that case, I would much rather see the bar versus the Revival. That is traditional tag team wrestling to me,
Yeah, but that means the bar's still in the title picture.
Well, sure, but I mean, what better team for the Revival to potentially knock off than one of the most dominant teams of 2017, arguably?
A transitional tag team.
I don't know if you could call them that anymore.
No, not the bar. Jason, okay. Jordan and Rollins is what I meant.
Yeah, and I mean that's I think not only do you get that, you could even make the argument that the bar was only really successful in 2017 because the Revival were on the shelf. I think that's a tailor-made story right there. Yeah,
you're not wrong. I don't like your argument, but you're not wrong.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about the remaining championship match on this card, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And it's Usos versus Gable and Benjamin, 2 out of 3 falls. I suppose I will put it to you guys this way. It's Gable and Benjamin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The Usos have just held it too long, and there's not really any upside in them retaining anymore. Well, I don't feel like.
Unless you infuse yet another new team, it's kind of it's weird that the SmackDown tag team roster has kind of lost a lot of steam too in the last couple months. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Usos have been doing great work, and of course you had earlier in 2017 you had the great back and forth feud between them and the New Day. But since that feud is wrapped up and we've, American Alpha Part 2 has come to take the place of the New Day. It just feels like, the tag team division as a whole has just really been fizzling out, which is a shame because SmackDown obviously gives pretty much every member of each division their time to shine. Every team in the SmackDown tag division is, I think, title worthy. And I would even include the Ascension and Breezango in that, to be honest. But, for whatever reason, just there's not as much excitement for me for that division. So
I'm kind of not with you on that score. Not anymore. Not since the debut of the Bludgeon Brothers. Because it feels like they fed every other tag team to the Bludgeon Brothers.
That's true. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe trying to make them look so dominant so quickly, which I don't think was really necessary either. Mm-hmm. I think just the name value of Harper and Rowan alone, new gimmick aside, new outfits aside, whatever you want to, bitch about, fine. But they're a great tag team, and we've known that forever. I know we haven't seen them team up in a while, but I think it's just like I was saying about Stephanie. Fucking show us that they're badass. Don't tell us that they're badass. And I think that's what a lot of their matches felt like. They were all squashes. It was all the commentary team building it up to be blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, just let them have a regular fucking 10 to 15 minute tag match, and they'll show you why they're a good team. You don't need to fucking squash every other team to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've hated about all this, is that the Bludgeon Brothers haven't had a match yet. Like, not one that would set them up as proper contenders. Because you've had the New Day and the Usos going back and forth in just these grueling contests, almost wars of attrition, like tests of endurance rather than any real test of skill. And they kept upping the bar so much that I think you would have had a hard time convincing the audience that Breezango or the Ascension or the Colognes or any other tag team in SmackDown you care to name, Rusev Day for that matter, I think you'd have trouble convincing the audience that they were real worthy opponents. And then to have them all lose to the Bludgeon Brothers without the Bludgeon Brothers really reminding anybody of how good they are. I think they did the same thing to the tag team division that they did to the women's division, is that you focus exclusively on the title picture and you ignore everything else. And so when you're finally done with whatever's going on in the title picture, you got nothing else to step back to.
Right.
Garvin, like, where do you see this match going? Like, do you think the Usos retain?
No, I'm going with American Alpha. I think it's going to be a fantastic match. This is probably the top match I'm looking forward to. I think this will continue that precedent that the Usos have set before in their matches. Regardless of who the opponent is, it's like you guys are talking about. It's more of a test of endurance. But I think that American Alpha can keep up. And so I'm really looking forward to this match. Where it leads to next doesn't really cross my mind right now.
I love that the meme has just become so commonly accepted.
What's that?
That they are just American Alpha.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wonder if they ever will bring up an actual team name.
I think it's
like,
fine.
it seems like they're too far gone for that, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm completely with you, Garvin. Like, this is going to be at least as good as any Uso New Day match, I think.
Oh, sure.
The singles contest that they've been having, I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, this last
I don't
SmackDown,
think they're 5-star matches at all, but not everything can be.
This last SmackDown, the singles match, incredible. I thought that really helped solidify my belief that this is going to be the match of the night. The story that they've told so far, I think, has been good.
Yeah, that fatal 4-way title match back at Clash of Champions, I think that worked primarily because of Gable and Benjamin. Taking nothing away from the other teams, but when Gable got in there and started destroying everybody with suplex after suplex, like, that was fantastic. The way he hit the rolling chaos on both Rusev and Big E that dude is just an absolute monster. And then you throw Shelton Benjamin into the mix. I mean, shit, dude. But let's go ahead and get into the men's rumble. Now, as of this recording, there have only been, 17 entrants named. Samoa Joe was one of them, but he's currently still on the injured reserve with a foot injury. So right now, we have Elias, Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, John Cena, Finn Balor, Baron Corbin, Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt. The members of Rusev Day, Rusev and English, Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, The Miz, Ty Dillinger, and The New Day entered into the men's Royal Rumble match. I fully expect that not all of the remaining 13 spots will be filled by legends. But yeah, as of this moment, who's your guy to win this one? Garvin, what do you think?
Well, my heart tells me Elias. I have absolutely fallen in love with this guy as well. Just everything, just his backstage segment, especially with Jericho. I thought that was great. His in-ring playing has definitely improved over his career so far. So I'm really into Elias. I don't think they'll go in that direction though. But I would not be opposed to it. Balor is the guy that I'm definitely going to go with for the WrestleMania match. You know, whoever wins, whether it's Lesnar, whether it's Balor, or whether it's someone that comes in the middle. I don't know, but I still think Balor is a good choice. It would put him right where he needs to be to really pick up the hype that started when he was the first Universal Champion. So, and they seem to be giving him a lot of love lately, especially giving him the Balor Club officially. So yeah, that's where my pick's going.
Adam, what about you? Where are you leaning right now?
Well, first of all, I think the thing that will go the most against Elias winning is the fact that he looks absolutely nothing like Macho Man Randy Savage. But I want to go with you, Garvin. I want to say Finn Balor, but just based on how he's been booked lately, the fucking nothing attention that they gave to him aligning with Gallows and Anderson again.
Well, until the 25th anniversary of Raw.
Bullshit. That was stupid too. They just came out and did the fucking Too Sweet with DX. Why? Why would they do that? Especially considering all the fucking Bullet Club shit that's been happening outside of fucking WWE. And that they're kind of trying to ride the line between well, are they just really cool buddies again? Or are they actually trying to fucking get the band back together and wreak some havoc in the WWE? And, whatever. We're not even going to explore the nuances of that.
Let's ignore the last time that Scott Hall and DX were in the same ring together. Hall was on the other side of the ring with Sting.
Right. I fully expected Nash to show up too, but I guess they felt like he wasn't
knee surgery. I think he just had.
Yeah, I thought there was some kind of injury.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
Maybe injury. Is he still wrestling?
Well, not injury. I think he just had surgery, but I don't remember what caused it.
Yeah,
I didn't read that.
Okay. Could have fucking brought him in via satellite or something. I don't know.
Well, just Too Sweet over satellite and just make that so much.
It's
goofier.
fucking DX. They don't give a shit. They do whatever the fuck they want.
Give the fans of the Manhattan Center something else to bitch about.
Yeah. I would love to say it's going to be Balor. And as I said, if Balor wins, I'll come back next week and say, you know what, Garvin, you are 100% right. And I should have fucking believed in you. But right now, I just don't see it being the case. Nakamura seems like a pretty good, solid choice, I think, especially considering the big tease, like I said, at Money in the Bank between him and AJ Styles. And I don't really foresee AJ Styles losing the title coming into Mania. I hope he doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood right now and hopefully dispel any of that stupid WWE voodoo. Because Nakamura versus fucking AJ it's already been proven to be a fucking money match, and WWE would have to be stupid as fuck not to book it at any show really, but especially at WrestleMania. I also think this avoids the possible controversy of Roman Reigns winning another fucking Royal Rumble, considering that I'm pretty positive Roman Reigns is going to be challenging for the Universal title at Mania as well.
Well, but why does Shinsuke need to win the Rumble to have a championship match against AJ at WrestleMania?
Why?
Because they haven't given him any high profile matches.
Why does
the most recent matches that he's had at that level, he lost to Jinder twice. Like, I think he needs this Rumble win far more than Balor does. Like, Balor has a ready-made story. They just need to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, who's to say Balor doesn't still go on to challenge for the Universal title without being the Rumble winner as well, if we're being honest.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he can do that with or without the Rumble. Like, the Rumble be damned. He could just sit it out.
Yeah.
And with Nakamura, that match, like you said, Adam, that will print money. People really want to see that match happen. And the way I see them securing that is with the Rumble. Regardless of who enters at the last minute, I'm positive Roman Reigns dropped the IC title, so he could be part of the Rumble. But I don't see them making another avenue to Styles versus Nakamura, except when it's for the title at Mania.
Beanbag's call in the live chat of Ziggler is actually kind of an interesting one.
Yeah,
fuck off.
I like it.
I'm sure he kind of did it as a joke. And I don't think Ziggler wins either, but they got to do something with that, right? I mean, or
no, they don't. They just let that hang.
I don't think they will. I don't
fucking
think
better.
I mean, maybe Dolph is that sick of his fucking station in WWE that he pitches this kind of weird, abstract fucking storyline, but I don't know.
No, if he can't be bothered to hold the U.S. title after immediately winning it, then fuck him.
I can see some sort of payoff to that storyline being involved with the Rumble. Whether he wins or not, that's obviously up for debate.
Give him another movie that nobody's gonna see when it goes straight to DVD. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, don't give him a title.
I've never said give him a title. I said there's going to be some sort of payoff within the Rumble that involves Dolph Ziggler. Something. Maybe it's not having anything to do with actually winning the Rumble, but some set piece during the Rumble match will involve Ziggler, I think, is my opinion.
I'll bet he won't even be in it. Like, I honestly don't think he will be. Just because so many people on the roster right now haven't declared that they're in it. And I have to imagine that there's not going to be any more than like 5 or 6 legends jumping in.
I mean, that leaves a lot of room for surprise, I say with quotes, Ziggler showing up.
Yeah, but like Roman's not currently announced for it. Let me double check this. Miz is not. Oh wait, Miz is in it.
Yeah, Miz is definitely announced.
Let me see here. Fuck, I need to take a minute to look at this and like compare it with a roster to see who's left.
Fair.
Just because this is like.
Well, and there's always the potential of some new fresh blood, a la AJ Styles in 2016, to fill that. Those spots too. I don't know who that would be. I would love to say fucking Kenny Omega, but I don't think that's fucking even.
Oh yeah,
possibly a blip on the radar.
Beanbags reminded me. There is a potential influx of talent from Impact. Apparently EC3 and Lashley have both left. They would be absolute shoo-ins in my mind.
I'm still not a super big fan of Lashley, but
as far as
he's improved in a big way over in Impact. Like he's become an incredible monster.
Yeah,
I agree.
One thing though, so EC3, there's been the assumption that he would keep that character, go with that character. Do you guys agree with that assumption?
He's trademarking it. Yeah, he's pursuing a trademark for it, so that definitely seems to be the case.
I know that that I've said this before over on the Discord chat, but I really would love to see EC3 and Dixie Carter doing a thing
on camera.
Yeah, like she has his manager. Maybe she, yeah.
I mean, her on camera work is
no, it's not great.
No, Dixie as a manager really works. Like when she was. When she had the Dixieland faction and like Magnus and EC3 were her guys, that worked out really well. Like she's a great on screen heel character. Her business acumen leaves a lot to be desired, but you could say the same thing about Paul Heyman.
I guess that's fair, especially Beanbags pointing out she could be the next generation Vicky Guerrero.
Sure,
that's fair. That would be a lot of good heat.
When is Big Cass supposed to be back?
I have no idea, honestly.
Let's see. He got injured back in.
I want to say July.
It's like mid-August, like around SummerSlam.
Okay, that was close.
He was out with an ACL injury, so he could be back in time.
It's possible.
Which I would really enjoy, because I missed that dude.
Sure.
Oh, you still got the Miztourage, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel.
I think they're table dressing for the Miz, helping him eliminate people from the outside.
I mean, Curtis Axel still has never been eliminated, so
it's true.
Kurt Hawkins could be fodder.
Maybe
the Revival jumps in. I don't know. Do you think you see any cruiserweights added to it?
Probably. I mean, they'd be fodder too, and I'd rather have. Even if someone gets eliminated, I'd rather have someone that you could feel good about possibly winning being a surprise entrant. Like, for example, AJ didn't win the 2016 Rumble, but you felt good that he was included.
Well, yeah, but just because you feel good about them being included, like, it doesn't mean that every surprise has to have a real shot. Like, nobody thought that about Jim Duggan.
Well, sure, but that's how I like my Rumbles to be.
Yeah, I mean, when Rowan incapacitated Curtis Axel, like, I don't think either of them had any real chance of winning, but...
Sure.
Oh, here's a thought. What about Mike Kanellis?
That'd be interesting to see.
I mean, especially now that he's in a much better place than he was like 6 months ago.
Sure.
Getting sober, he's expecting a kid. Like, I think... Like, I just recently saw a picture of him now, and the dude is yoked. He looks really good right now. Like, he could really do something with a Rumble entry.
Live chat saying MVP, maybe James Storm.
Not James Storm. Like, I don't think there's any upside to that. Like, he left Impact so he could be with his family. But
NXT? MVP call-ups, maybe?
Maybe.
I can't really think of it. Yeah, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Like, I would think Galloway if he wasn't injured.
What about the Velveteen Dream, man?
That'd be pretty sick. I mean, just for a one-off, I'd be into
soon. That. That's just too soon.
I think like if they, well, no, that might kill his momentum too. That's fair.
Yeah, because Hideo Itami appearing in the armbar, like, that did absolutely nothing for him, and in fact, probably hurt him a lot.
I was gonna say if they did like a full-on Velveteen Dream entrance only to have him be like Barbarian eliminated, that'd be kind of interesting, but I think that would also kind of kill his steam in NXT. Gargano, maybe?
No, Gargano is working. I don't think he has a title match and then goes in the Rumble to lose.
Well, he might not have a title match after tonight's show.
There's no way they take that from him. No, Velveteen Dream versus Almas, that doesn't work.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. I don't know. Velveteen Dream is so androgynous in more ways than one that I think he plays better. I think he's the closest thing to a tweener that NXT has.
I was about to say, what does him being androgynous have to do with any of this?
I'm coming around to it. Give me some time, man.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
It's I know exactly what it means.
Pete Dunne.
Ooh, Aleister Black also.
What? No, nothing for Pete Dunne?
Yeah.
Oh, Pete Dunne, but I don't know. Like,
interesting. How about this guy instead?
I mean, I don't mean to shit the bed with Pete Dunne, but he's already champion. Like, what does he have to prove?
So is The Miz.
That's fair. I don't know. It doesn't seem like his wrestling style would really benefit him in a Rumble match. It'd be cool to see, but I wouldn't. I would mark harder for Aleister Black, but maybe that's just my own personal preference.
I think Aleister Black would be a really hard person to put in the Rumble, just given how dominant he is everywhere else, and the fact that there's no way in hell he'd win this thing.
If there was a full ring, he came down, just fucking like black masked literally everyone in the ring, and then did his little Zen thing. That'd be awesome.
No way.
I don't even care if he won at that point.
That is a pipe dream of the highest order.
Oh, sure. I agree. But I'm just saying. That'd be great.
Listen, we're not fantasy booking here. We are proposing real options.
We're kind of fantasy booking. We're riding the line.
Yeah.
That's fair. However,
what about so I mean we had I don't know if we talked about it for this match specifically, but we did talk about AOP maybe coming up. I think
I mentioned that.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. But what about the opposite as far as the takeover card? What about the Undisputed coming up?
I think that's kind of the same as Velveteen. I think it's too soon. They've been more dominant within the last month, but not dominant enough, I don't think, to start to even consider. They need to, in my mind, I need to feel like they control NXT, so to speak, before they even think about setting their sights on anything main roster bound.
So with that line of thought, would that qualify Sanity?
I wouldn't be opposed. I wouldn't. That'd be 3 roster spots.
Potentially.
Or 3 fucking spots.
I mean, not necessarily.
To take up, but yeah, that's
you
true.
just put EY in there, like,
and then they just
Killian Dane and Alexander
fuck.
Wolf can come out with him. There's nothing keeping them out of the ring.
True.
But
I'd be into that. Just they beat the shit out of everyone and then help you. Yeah, I'd be totally into that. But that would also kind of imply that Sanity was now main roster bound at that point, I think. I don't think you can do something that dominant, even if you lose the Rumble, and then go back to NXT and be like, yeah, whatever, we're here.
I think I'd be okay with that. Like, there's not really anything else for Sanity to do down there.
That's fair enough, too.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more fine I am with Sanity actually making that move.
Sure. And fucking Broad needs some more big guys to fucking run up against, right?
Yeah. I want to see that now. Well, I think we've covered the breadth of the men's Rumble.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk the women's Rumble. At this moment, 18 names have been added to the Rumble match. Originally 19, but Paige was injured at a house show, so she had to withdraw, unfortunately. So here are the participants as things stand now. Starting with Naomi and then Asuka. And we also have the entirety of the Riot Squad: Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. Natalya, Sasha Banks, Bayley, the remainder of Absolution: Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, Carmella, Tamina, and Lana, Mickie James, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke. Is there any probability that the winner is anyone but Asuka? I'm not asking if there's a chance. I'm asking if anybody else is more likely to win.
No, not more likely to win, I don't think. But, I mean, there's probability for everyone, I'm sure. Asuka seems like the one, though. I just, no one else really stands out in my mind. I mean, realistically, any of these women could come away with the win, and I'd pretty much be fine with it. They're all very talented. They all have, great work ethic and are just...
Would you actually be okay with Dana Brooke versus Alexa Bliss or Lana versus Charlotte for a title?
Yeah, honestly.
Don't tell me there's a way you could build that to be interesting, because there's literally not.
I think you could. I mean, if you're smart enough, could WWE?
You are giving creative way too much credit here.
Could WWE do it? That's another question. You said
that is the question to be asked here.
There was no WWE. in the first tenet of your question. There was no
Could we
WWE
come up with
mentioned.
something? Yes, but do we have creative control?
No, of course we don't. No, we do not. But even still, I'm not going to say I wouldn't be interested to see how a lot of our Charlotte match could potentially break down. If booked right, of course, which again is highly up for debate.
Unless Rusev murders Charlotte before the match, like there's no way Lana wins.
That would be extremely interesting, but WWE is not that ballsy, unfortunately. Ultimately, though, it just doesn't seem like the way the story is being structured, or at least the way the build to the match is being structured, that anyone but Asuka makes any viable sense, outside of possibly some surprise participants that potentially could be sticking around, because I think some of the surprise participants are going to be very similar to the men's rumble, and might just be showing up for a one-off. But if one of those extreme, if someone were to, like, who maybe had a bigger name value than someone like Mickie James, let's say, a veteran of the division and industry who really hasn't had to enjoy the new direction that WWE is treating women, someone like Trish Stratus maybe, or someone else like that were to show up and stick around for a while, up at least to Mania, then maybe I could see someone else winning outside of Asuka, but that again I think is very unlikely. So
Garvin, I'm looking at the doc and I'm seeing that your prediction slate remains blank.
Yes.
Are you pondering an option other than Asuka?
I want to. I'm having a hard time, though. I'm with you guys on not many people being at the level of Asuka as far as like who we would want to see move on for the title, especially if it is against Charlotte. I don't know, man. I mean, I really don't see anyone else that can do it, but I want someone else to win. Someone else that is maybe newer. So a Ruby Riott. I think I'd be interested in seeing that dynamic. I don't know if there's any other name in there. Maybe if they do bring up Sanity.
Nikki Cross.
Yeah, you got Nikki Cross, and I think that would be pretty sweet to have her win. But overall, I'm with you that Asuka seems to be the major favorite here.
So, B-Bangs mentioned in the live chat a name that I know has been rumored that I'm sure Nick will not like to hear that could be involved in this match, that being one of the MMA four horsewomen, Ronda Rousey. What do you think about that idea, Garvin? Do you think if Rousey's in this match that she has the potential to win and or defeat Asuka?
Potential, yes. Yeah, I can definitely see it. That's not who I would go with for sure.
Sure, I agree.
Just because
First
we don't
WWE
know,
Rumble.
we do know she has not been in the Performance Center training. That doesn't necessarily mean she hasn't been training.
Right.
But yeah, to have someone that isn't necessarily a wrestler get a title shot at WrestleMania and win at one of the big four to earn it, that irks me a little bit. But it does have the name value.
Sure. It potentially could, at least her involvement, if she doesn't win, could potentially set up that dream four horsewomen versus four horsewomen match.
I could see Ronda being in the match, winning it. No way. Because like you said, Garvin, she's not a wrestler. And who would she go after? Would she go after Alexa Bliss or would she go after Charlotte? Storyline dictates it'd be Charlotte, but she's a free agent. So, and with that said, I don't see her. I see her trying to sideline somebody rather than throwing them out over the top rope, because that's just so foreign to the concept of MMA. And I think that the WWE would trade on that MMA background to the hilt. But who else do you think could be one of the surprise entrants? Do you think Trish is ring ready?
I kind of, to a point, feel like Trish is always ring ready. I mean, she's got her own yoga program. She's constantly in shape. Like, I'm sure there's
she's
ring
in shape,
rust.
but is she ring ready?
Well, that's what I'm attempting to defend. I'm sure there is some ring rust, but I don't think it would take her very much to shake it off, to be honest.
Some other names of possibilities of entering, at least. I would love to see Piper Niven show up.
I think she's in Japan right now. Like, I think she's committed.
Tessa Blanchard, maybe?
Maybe.
Is Tony Storm committed to something else? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I don't remember where she is right now. I don't think she's in Japan, but like she still holds one of their titles. Yeah, I don't know.
Answering some more of the live chat speculation, I don't think Lita would come back. Just knowing her, not necessarily opinions about the WWE, but knowing her, hearing her talk like about the WWE, when she's not on a WWE program, it doesn't sound like she's too into ring competitiveness anymore. So I don't think.
Yeah, and the way they snubbed her for Raw 25, I don't think that interest is there.
Yeah. McCool would be interesting, particularly if they also got Layla as well.
I have the same thoughts about Michelle McCool that I have about Taker, in that neither of them are anywhere near in-ring shape.
Well, I mean, I think McCool's a lot closer. Honestly, I
don't think so. Like, I've seen pictures of her. I don't think she's ring ready. Like, she didn't look ring ready at Raw 25. So.
Here's another name from the live chat, Karma.
Possibly. And I mean, she looks damn good now. So I could see it. Chelsea Green, probably not. Just because nobody would know who she is. Like, some people that follow Zack Ryder might recognize her as his girlfriend, but there's no build there.
No way, AJ Lee. No goddamn way. Unless we see Punk in the men's rumble, which would be pretty fucking insane.
Hell fucking no. Trying to think of other potential candidates. Is there any way the Iconic Duo goes ahead and makes that move up?
See, that was my kind of speculation with McCool, because even if she's not ring ready, I mean, it is a rumble. You could have her get eliminated pretty quickly. So if they went like full bore Lay Cool, having sort of a standoff with the Iconic Duo, like, I would mark so hard for that. Passing of the torch, man. New snobby women's team.
Yeah, but I make the same argument there that I do when you talk about Balor and DX, and that they already had the torch. Like, bringing back the old folks doesn't do anything for them. Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Lay Cool and the Iconic Duo have a better mind for, and if it's in the tenets of a match, there's a, like, obviously the thing that irked me was the extreme friendliness to DX and the Balor Club, which to me shouldn't be, considering the ties that Balor and Gallows and Anderson have, and how basically their whole stable gimmick is lifted from DX to a certain degree. You would think DX.
Scott Hall I have less of a problem with, because like his kid was in Bullet Club, like he has been affiliated with Bullet Club in the past. Like, that makes sense to me. Okay. Not within WWE continuity, but like at least to me that makes some sense.
Sure.
DX, and to further break that down, like Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, like they both gone on record saying like, I fucking love the Bullet Club. They can too sweet all they want. Like, it's Triple H and Shawn Michaels for me where that sticking point comes into play.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah.
Well, anyway, to get to my further point, if it's in the tenets of a match, to have like possibly the Iconic Duo eliminate Lay Cool, I think would be a decent bump for them. I'm not saying it has to happen. I think it'd be a cool little nod.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if they could manage to pull that off, like I wouldn't say no to it. Trying to think of anybody else. Do you think they're going to try and push for Kairi Sane to hold the women's title in NXT, or do you think they trade off the Mae Young Classic and bring her up?
I think Kairi has a little bit more time in NXT. I think she's still kind of she's gotten better, I think, since the last time we kind of critiqued her WWE style wrestling ability. But I do think she still needs a little more seasoning there before she goes main roster. Not to mention, I feel like right now she runs the risk of getting lost in the shuffle on the main roster. Considering that anyone who's not challenging for a title is usually given barely any sort of TV time, and I don't think she'd come in challenging for a title right away.
Yeah.
So I prefer to keep her in NXT for a while.
That's entirely fair. Let us shift from Rumble discussion. And let's go ahead and cover TakeOver Philadelphia. We've been discussing some NXT possibilities for the last little while. Let's go ahead and talk the opening match. Velveteen Dream versus Cassius Ohno.
Potentially.
Yes, allegedly. If such a contest were to occur, who do you think would come out on top?
I think I'm going to have to pick Dream. I don't know, man. I really like Ono, or as I prefer to call him, Chris Hero, as
Mark.
a guy. Dude, Ono is such a bad name. I will never not say that.
It's not.
Shame. Just shame. If I had a bell, I'd ring it right in your face right now. I don't know, man. Just his NXT run, it just has left something to be desired for me, you know? It just doesn't feel like he's really going anywhere, you know? It feels like he's been a pseudo gatekeeper for no one when it comes to the main event division for a long, long time now. Meanwhile, Dream...
There's value in that.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not, but Dream, you know, if this is what he's doing, if he's going to be the clutch player, then it has to be Dream. You know, he's got fucking charisma oozing out the ears, man. Like, and pretty decent fucking wrestling acumen to boot. So to me, the sooner he gets to title contention, the better. I definitely want to see him challenge more than just Cassius Ohno. I'll be honest, though. I do think a Almas Dream match would be interesting, depending on how they played it. And I give NXT Creative the nod that they have the talent to pull something like that off, as opposed to that match happening on the main roster. So, yeah, I just think it would have to be Dream.
Cool. I'm with that pick. I'm also gonna go with the Velveteen Dream. That dude is great overall. So I definitely want to see him continue to push higher up on the card. Cassius Ohno, I'm pretty over. I don't really see a whole lot of value from him. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but yeah, I'm just not into him.
If he was given a proper story, I think that he could do great things in NXT. But at least for right now, it seems like they're more interested in giving other people like the meatier, heavier stories. Also, the only good thing to ever come out of that name was his entrance song.
Garvin, where are you leaning on this?
On that match? Velveteen Dream.
Yes. Oh, okay, I missed that. I'm going to lean the other way and go with Cassius Ohno. Nothing against Dream, but I feel like they're making more of a push now to make Ohno an actual title contender. And he's been unsuccessful in his last couple bids, but I feel like that's just because he was setting the bar too high. I think given how he made Lars Sullivan work harder for a victory than anybody else before him, I think they're still considering him pretty heavily. So I feel like a win here would be what he needs to set up for that program. Meantime, I don't know what would be in the cards for Dream should he lose, but I I have a hard time seeing him getting lost in the shuffle. So I think that's where they're going to lean right now. I think Cassius Ohno goes over here. Next match on the card, Aleister Black versus Adam Cole in an Extreme Rules match. I believe that Cole is walking out the victor here, simply because this match plays to all of his strengths. And there are no consequences if O'Reilly and Fish get involved either. They've made Black more human. They have made it clear that he can lose. I don't think he's actually been pinned or submitted yet, but he doesn't always win no matter what anymore. So if he loses here, he doesn't really lose any steam. So I think that just means that, I don't know, they do something with Aleister. Like they find some up-and-comer and just have him lose to Aleister in a few matches.
Well, if your prediction with Dream versus Ono comes true, then make them a tag team. But, that's just my opinion.
I am not a fan of that idea, but you are welcome to your opinion.
I know. But I am. I'm 100% a fan of that.
But what do you guys think? Does Adam Cole walk away with this, or does Aleister Black manage to overcome the odds?
I think that Cole has to win here. I don't think that the Undisputed Era has had a really great, solid footing. They did win the War Games match, sure, but the next week they just got right back into it with Sanity, and it didn't really feel like it settled anything, So I think, with our possible prediction that Sanity might show up at the Rumble and move on to greater things, like especially now with Sanity not even on this card, now is the time for Cole and Fish and O'Reilly to become that dominant, controlling force in NXT. It's a story we've seen a million times, but it's tried and true. And I think this match is what needs to that's the job that it needs to do. It needs to make Adam Cole look like just a fucking legit main event badass who should be feared, and what better way to do that than, unfortunately, as much as I really love Aleister Black, than to take out, NXT's resident hitman, so to speak. I think that's all there is to it.
Garvin, how about you? You feel the same on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Adam Cole as well. I'm not, I don't know. Aleister Black seems like a very good wrestler and has delivered some really quality matches, especially against like Velveteen Dream. I thought that was fantastic. But yeah, he does have that feeling that he's just he's there to showcase other talent, I guess. Like he seems to be the one where that people debut against for some reason, or they have their big matches against. So I don't know. I'm going to go with Adam Cole, though. I think he's a better long-term character at this point, at least in NXT.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, let's jump into the championship spread here. Let's start with the women's match. Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. Right off the bat, I wasn't a fan with how they handled this. Shayna coming in and murking people, sure, like that's a gimmick, but I don't like how they went from Regal approaching Baszler backstage and telling her, I know your tricks, I'm onto your game, this isn't going to get you a title opportunity. And then, like, the next week, it proceeded to get her a title opportunity. I don't like that. I don't like that she just debuted, like, not even a month ago, and she's got the title shot. Granted, who was it going to be if not her? But this just feels weak from where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Like, what about you guys?
I'm with you. I don't like that they've pushed her up to this point. So while I can easily see her winning, I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. I think instead, Shayna will lose in some kind of fashion that makes her flip out and then try to hurt Ember Moon after the match.
Yeah, I could see that. Adam, what about you?
Okay. Well, I mean, she's a heel, right? Shayna,
Sure. Yeah.
then I think this totally fits. I think if you guys don't like the situation off or on camera, I think that totally works for the story. I don't think.
This fits the gimmick, like her being a bastard to everybody. It's just the way that this got her a title opportunity so soon after Regal's like, no, this isn't going to get you that title match.
Sure, I agree with that. With that line, with Regal especially having said that to her directly to her face, that's problematic. But overall, like the fact that she got this title so quickly in general from her NXT roster debut, I think not just fits her character, but I think it fits the story of her coming up against Ember Moon very, very well. It's fucking, Rocky versus Drago, essentially. And I think that works, It's partly why I might be going with my heart on this one, but I'm going to pick Shayna to win. I think Ember has shown that I think she's really good in the chase and that she can stay relevant and credible without having the title. Because as champion, I'm not going to say she's done a bad job, but I haven't felt the same energy with her that I felt with Asuka. And I know that's understatement of the year because Asuka is just so charismatic. But that does permeate to the rest of the division a little bit. So I think giving Ember a very proper, out the gate, just visceral, bitchy fucking villain to have to overcome is very, very good. I think that gives her a lot more opportunity to show off, her charisma and her storytelling potential.
That is entirely possible. I feel like it's too soon for Ember to drop the belt, which is the primary reason I'm picking her to win. I think she is going to retain, but yeah, I haven't been enthused with this reign at all.
See, I think,
granted, Asuka set a really high bar.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way she couldn't have. So anybody that came immediately after her was going to suffer in that respect. But even just taking that out of the equation, what has Ember done? Not much of anything. Like, she ran in and saved Dakota Kai from Shayna, maybe, but she hasn't done anything with the title. She's got a real badass to contend with in Shayna Baszler, somebody that showed her chops in the Mae Young Classic, and she hasn't been through any real wars as champion yet. And her character she hasn't really shown much.
Yeah.
She's this fiery wolf wizard that has a spectacular finisher.
Roman.
And she works really well in the ring, but I can't remember a single promo. And I know she's been on the mic.
Yep.
Because I've seen close-ups of her face and she's been talking. But I couldn't tell you a thing that she said.
Yeah. No, I'm not impressed at all.
Well, and that's why I think, I don't want to necessarily completely write off Ember Moon and say that she has no value whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
But I do think that essentially doing the female version of, well, I mean, to an extent, obviously these two are not friends and have never been friends, but doing the closest approximation they can to the female version of Sammy versus Owens in NXT is, I think, brilliant. That makes a immediate, like, super monster heel in the NXT women's division that I think...
Wait.
What's that?
You're casting Ember versus Shayna as Sammy versus Kevin?
No, that's what I mean. Like, taking the best parts of Sammy versus Owens and putting it here where Shayna just fucking decimates, the the face that finally like got their success, finally was able to, grab that brass ring that eluded them for so long, and then just have a fucking utterly remorseless, fucking angry, devastating heel just immediately take it from her so quickly. I think is a good story.
I don't see that. Like, if that happened, I feel like that would be more like Daniel Bryan having to give up the titles due to circumstance beyond his control. Like, Owens versus Zayn, that worked as well as it did because they had so much history. Because Owens came in as Sammy's friend, and then he turned on him and took the title from him. Like, I think that's where the value of the story came from. If Shayna just walks up and rips the title away from Ember, that just further casts Ember as nobody to really pay attention to. I feel like for Ember to have really shown with that belt in her first real title defense, I don't think you should have thrown Shayna at her. I think it should have been Nikki Cross. Because those two actually do have a history of contending for the title against one another. But that's fantasy booking at this point, and yeah, I don't think that really serves us all that well in the face of what we're predicting now.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's the women's title picture in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and call the NXT Tag Team titles now. The Undisputed versus AOP. I think it's safe to say we can all agree this is going to be a pretty fun match, but AOP don't become two-time NXT Tag Champs, right?
There's always a possibility that they do. I don't think.
Let's go ahead and discount that line of thinking for the remainder of the show. Like, let's go ahead and get down to brass tacks here.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think that they should. Not at all. They're already main event ready, or main roster ready, and I think they'd just be spinning their wheels as champions again in NXT. Meanwhile, just the same with Black versus Cole. Fish and O'Reilly, this is the chance, especially for them, because you could argue Cole got most of whatever rub they might have received from the War Games match. He was the instigator and mastermind, whereas Fish and O'Reilly were the enforcers. We haven't, outside of like their debut matches, and I think the one debut tag match they had before they formed the Undisputed, we haven't really got to see Fish and O'Reilly do their thing in NXT without Cole. And I think that's what, I'm not saying Cole won't get involved. I am sure that he probably will. But I think a good meat of this match needs to showcase why Fish and O'Reilly are, as good as everybody says they are. And granted, we all know that as fans, but I think the story needs to serve that a little bit. And I think, again, the Undisputed Era have to, at least for the time being, look like this dominant, unstoppable force in NXT in order for the gimmick to work. Otherwise, they're just going to be another faction, So I think it has to be the Undisputed.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm going to go with the Undisputed as well.
Yeah, I think that's where the money is. This is necessary just to kind of close a chapter on that storyline.
I see what you did there.
Yep. The Undisputed need to solidify their reign as tag team champions. They already wrote off Sanity. Now AOP needs to be transitioned on to the next thing, which presumably is their main roster appearance, which will leave the Undisputed at the top of the heap. That just leaves us with the NXT Championship match. Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. Garvin, who do you see walking away with the title here?
Almas. I think Gargano is a good underdog. I don't know if I like the idea of him being the guy holding the title, though. Not how they've built him up. Even in the tag team, he always seemed to be the weakest link. He had the biggest heart, but he was usually the one that got the pinfall or the submission. So yeah, I don't know. I like Gargano. I like what he stands for. He's a Clevelander, so my heart goes to him. But I don't want to see him holding the title.
How about you, Adam? Where are you sitting on this one?
This is probably another heart over head pick. I have a feeling that Again, kind of speaking to some of the reasonings for Ember Moon retaining. Andrade Cien Almas probably will retain because he only just won it. However, considering that Gargano has a rapport with, coming up against Almas and losing several times in the past, there could be some potential story elements there that could work to service this forward. And I personally, maybe not right now, but I personally would like to see Johnny Gargano with the championship before Ciampa comes back. Because I think what better way to put Ciampa back on the map than to utterly destroy Gargano and take his title away.
Yeah.
I think that is
good story.
Absolutely a beautiful story to tell. I want it to be this time that we start ramping in that direction. I don't know if it will be, though. So I fully acknowledge that me picking Gargano is kind of an out of left field pick.
Just to clarify Ciampa's status, though, the current timetable, at least what I'm reading, is that early to mid 2018. So I can't imagine he would come back soon.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem, honestly. If Gargano has a long reign and is able to successfully defend his title all the way until Ciampa comes back, I think that still works just as well as if he has a very short reign. Arguably, he doesn't need to win the title. I will acknowledge that. I'd rather see their storyline involve the NXT title, but it doesn't need to happen. Ciampa could come back and cost Johnny Gargano, potentially even in this match if he's like super, crazy fucking Logan mutant and has already healed up, which I don't think is the case. But I think if Gargano were to win the title and hold it, all the way till May, June, July, whenever Ciampa comes back into competitive action, I think that would still work.
I think Ciampa absolutely does show up at TakeOver. I am very much in line with what the live chat is proposing here. I think Ciampa costs him this shot. Whether he's injured or not, I think he can show up just fine, have his music hit, Gargano just be completely engrossed in what he's seeing, and then almost takes advantage and pins him.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible too. I would prefer it to go a different way, but I'm not going to say it's out of the realm of possibility.
So that is TakeOver in a nutshell then. Real quick, just to touch on some New Japan stuff that is going to be happening this same weekend. I'll go ahead and preface this by saying that I am looking forward to just about each and every one of these matches that are on the card, just because New Japan has a way of injecting a narrative within the match. Even for throwaway 8-man or 10-man tag matches, like there's usually some underlying narrative where, say, Yuji Nagata doesn't appreciate what Kojima is doing for whatever reason and just decides to start beating the hell out of him. Or Liger and Tiger Mask decide that they want to see who is a better cruiserweight between them. Just somehow they manage to make every match matter to some degree or another. But of course, some matches are objectively more important than others. So let's just hit the highlights here. Starting with the Never Openweight 6-man tag team championship match. The Bullet Club are going to be defending against Taguchi Japan. It's going to be Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Roa versus, he has a new name now and I don't remember what it is, but Hanare, Taguchi, and Togi Makabe. Would you guys like to hazard a guess as to how this match unfolds? Does Bullet Club retain, or does Taguchi Japan take those belts?
I have a, I'm not going to say that outside of what I've seen within the last month or so, I'm too familiar with, I know that the storyline's just reset, but I'm not necessarily too familiar with a lot of these guys' work from, I don't have the same feeling talking about these guys as I do talking about someone like Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, someone who I've watched for years and years and years, That said, knowing what I do know, I think it's going to be really tough to beat the Bullet Club. I mean, God has been so dominant throughout their run within New Japan that it's like coming up against two howitzer tanks. And Bad Luck Fale is also very well known as being extremely hard to beat. So my money's with the Bullet Club with the limited information that I have. And I don't know. It just seems like the Bullet Club is typically a pretty heavy favorite.
Garvin, how about you? Who takes the title
Just
here?
to clarify, who's competing in this match?
The Bullet Club, Bad Luck Fale, Tamatonga, and Tangaroa versus Hanare, Taguchi, and Togi Makabe. They will be representing Taguchi Japan. It's on the dock.
Oh, there's 2 nights. Oh, now I get
Yes.
it. All right. I was like, that's not on the second night. All right. Man. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Bullet Club here. Just to reiterate, what Adam had said. I haven't fully been following New Japan. I got back into it at Wrestle Kingdom, so I'm still really learning a lot of these guys. But I definitely have liked what I've seen with these 3. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Bullet Club here.
Yeah, that seems like the smart pick. Hanare and Makabe aren't even full-on members of Taguchi Japan, so this feels like an alliance of convenience here. So yeah, the Tongans retain. The next important match I'm seeing here of night 1 in New Beginning in Sapporo is the 6-man tag match between Chaos and Los Ingobernables de Japón. Chaos will be represented by Gedo, Hiroki Goto, and Kazuchika Okada versus Bushi, Evil, and Sonata. This match is important because at the end of New Year's Dash, when Los beat Chaos and they started beating up on Okada and just hitting them with their finishers, Sonata was the last guy to get his hands on Okada. Naito started to lay into him and then kind of just waved it off and let Sonata finish him off with the Cold Skull. So it feels like they're building up to a serious program for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship between Okada and Sonata. No title on the line here, but just kind of building up that through line for the story. So with that in mind, where do you think, or who do you think is going to walk away with a victory here? Do you think it's going to be Chaos, or do you think it's going to be Los?
For me, I'm going to go with Chaos. I definitely like Sonata. I was first introduced to him when we saw him in TNA. I like a lot of these guys, but overall, I think just the weight of having Okada there will push them over the edge. So that's where my pick's going.
I 100% agree with that. I think having Okada on your team makes it pretty difficult team to beat. I've seen Okada in some wars, man. I know that Los Ingobernables have been in some wars of their own, particularly the members that are representing this team. But I don't know. It's so hard to pick against Okada. I mean, he beat Omega twice, man. Not a lot of people can say that. So I'm going to go with Chaos.
I am going to bet against Okada here specifically because they have Gedo to eat the pin. And from what I've been able to gather, that's kind of how they do whenever Chaos needs to lose a match. In one of these scenarios, they just have Gedo in the ring and he takes the pin. So I think that's going to be what happens here. I would want Sonata to be the one to put away Gedo, but realistically, it could be any of Los that does it. Bushi would be a special slap in the face because he loses all the damn time. But yeah, I think Los triumphs over Chaos here. The next match that has some championship implications is Chaos versus the Elite. Chaos is going to be represented by Jay White and Roppongi 3K, made up of Sho and Yo. And obviously the Elite is composed of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I am going to say that this is going to be Jay White's first salvo against Omega, and I think that Chaos is going to walk away with a win here. I believe one of the Young Bucks will eat the pin, but yeah, that's where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, I see Chaos winning. Just with all of the tension with the Bullet Club, and then also, I mean, just look at the Elite in general as far as the injuries they sustained at Wrestle Kingdom. Realistically, those injuries are not repaired by this point. Jay White is definitely fresh. So yeah, I'm going to go with Chaos here.
Okay, fair enough. But Sho and Yo are definitely not fresh.
Right, but Jay White is, so.
Okay.
Sho's in relatively good shape. He didn't get beat up. Neither did Nick Jackson, but Yo is definitely a vulnerable point.
Well, if that didn't give away my hand, I'm definitely going for the Elite because, as has been said many times, you can't beat the Elite, guys. And that's something you need to remember going forward. So I think the Jacksons and Omega will have this match.
You are entitled to be wrong. The main event of night one, Hiroshi Tanahashi defending the IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Minoru Suzuki. Thoughts? Who do you think walks away with the IC title? On the one hand, it is Tanahashi. He is the ace of New Japan. On the other hand, he is across the ring from a straight-up killer.
Who had his hair shaved, so he's angry. So I'm going to go with
Could be like
Suzuki.
Samson. Could be like Samson, all his powers gone.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, don't think so. Anything's possible. But yeah, I'm going to go with Suzuki.
I'm also going to go with Suzuki.
Yeah. Obviously, looking ahead at the New Beginning cards, both in Sapporo and elsewhere, Tanahashi is not taking any time off. But I think they are going to kind of lighten the load for him. And Suzuki will take the Intercontinental Championship here. Maybe he has something to prove, having lost his match against Goto. But whatever rationale you decide to go with, I think that's just how it's got to be. Something I overlooked beforehand. Katsuya Kitamura, one of the young lions, he's had something going over the last month or so, wherein he has a challenge series. And he had his first match back at New Year Dash. I forget who it was against, but he lost that one. But what that essentially means for Kitamura is he's coming up on the end of his young lion phase. And what they typically do with the young lions once they end that phase is they go out on excursion. So like Sho and Yo, when they were going out on excursion, they went out to CMLL primarily, and they became the tag team that eventually became known as Roppongi 3K. Juice Robinson did something very similar. Jay White did something very similar. But with Kitamura, he is actually a good bit older than most young lions. He's already in his 30s. And this isn't something they do too terribly often. I asked around beforehand, and like the earliest, or this is something they used to do in All Japan. Like Giant Baba did this with a couple of young and up and coming talent. And they would just have the younger guy face off against some of the more established guys, get a sense of where he is developmentally speaking. And, typically the guys that would have those challenge series would have shorter excursions depending on where they stood. And I think that might be the situation here with Kitamura. At least I recall his first match being somewhat decent. I didn't remember being too offended by it. But In Sapporo, he's going to be facing Michael Elgin on night 1 and Juice Robinson on night 2, excuse me. So where do you think he's going to end up on night 1 against Elgin? Do you think he eats the loss, or do you think he gets his first win in this challenge series? And for reference, Kitamura is a super jacked young lion with the vampire mouth guard.
I mean, because of all of your points about him being a young lion, I have a feeling it's going to be Kitamura. I wouldn't be surprised if, and I hate to kind of meta book here, so to speak, but if some real life shit isn't flowing into, I mean, I don't know, maybe being overseas or something like that doesn't quite affect Elgin there as it does here. I will say, at the very least, it makes as much as I try and separate what I see on camera from what I hear about off camera, it makes it very hard for me to pick for the man, regardless of who he's fighting. But especially after hearing, you describe Kitamura as this being his challenge and whatnot, I think he's probably going to come away with the victory.
Yeah, I don't see like the larger legal issue surrounding Elgin right now. That didn't really affect him in New Japan so much as the disrespect he offered Jeff Cobb. Saying he's a shitty tag team partner, he's a shitty wrestler, he's not as big a deal as Elgin is, things like that. Like, just disrespecting other members of the locker room like that. Like, that had a bigger impact, apparently, with the office than the fact that Elgin sexually harassed somebody and aided another sexual assaulter. But that's mostly dirt sheet stuff. Sure. So, I don't know. Garvin, what about you? Do you think Elgin wins this one, or do you think Kitamura picks up his first win in this series?
Yeah, I don't know much about what you guys are talking about. Kind of familiar with this scenario, but definitely not a focus of mine. I'm gonna go with Elgin. I think I don't know. I don't know much about this guy, this young lion, I guess we're calling him. Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I think Elgin's the better choice here, especially if this kid is going out onto his excursion. He doesn't really need wins here. Like, this could give him a good story to develop and do better on his excursion, come back in full force, and take his rightful place. So, yeah.
That's certainly entirely possible. Personally, I'd be surprised if Elgin was still competing for New Japan by the time Kitamura came back. But
yeah, I'm not suggesting that he'd come back and face the same people, but just in general.
Mm-hmm. I am going to say that Kitamura does pick up his first victory, just not even because fuck Michael Elgin, but just because even outside of all of the out-of-company stuff, his star has definitely fallen a little bit, or at least dimmed. That rub from Tanahashi teaming up with him, that's kind of faded. So I think beating Elgin would put a nice feather in Kitamura's cap, and he could lose to Juice Robinson with more dignity. But those are all the big matches on night 1, or at least the matches with any real significance to them. Jumping ahead to night 2, the other Kitamura challenge match against Juice Robinson. This one, I think Juice walks out with a victory. It's a nice underdog victory for him. It's kind of like a current Young Lion versus former Young Lion. There's a nice little angle there to play if they choose to go with that. And Juice is over as fuck as a babyface. So yeah.
Yep, I'm into Juice. That's my pick.
Same. Part of a healthy diet.
Next match. Tanahashi and Elgin will be facing Suzuki-gun, represented by Minoru Suzuki and Iizuka, the crazy motherfucker with the Iron Claw. I'm a little bit torn on this one, because I'm expecting Suzuki to hold the title, but I don't expect him to keep steamrolling Tanahashi. I figure maybe Tana pins Iizuka on some fluke opening, like puts him away with a high five flow or something like that. Any thoughts on that match, or just?
Again, I probably would pick Suzuki as well. I understand that trying to beat Tanahashi twice in 2 nights is probably very difficult, but it seems like he'd have a pretty good. He'd have the best chance out of anyone, I feel. And to try and speak away from any other fucking things that might be hanging over his head. I from what I've seen of Michael Elgin in the ring, I like it. I think that he's a showman, if nothing else, and that he can really, regardless of first of all, his wrestling moveset is quite impressive. He's kind of one of those guys that has, a build that you wouldn't expect a guy of his build to move so agilely around the ring, and yet defying all logic, he totally does, which is very interesting to watch. That said, I mean first of all, you have to kind of wrestle very fastly paced when it comes to New Japan typically. So he has to keep up anyway, and I don't know if he can against Suzuki and Iizuka. I think he probably becomes the weak link of the team of him and Tanahashi. And kind of to your point, Nick, I think this may even be the point where we get an official breaking of their team. Since it's already kind of lost some steam.
Yeah, they haven't been an official team since Tanahashi started working more closely with Taguchi Japan. But all I'll say on Michael Elgin's wrestling ability is that when he challenged Suzuki for the Never Openweight Championship, he had easily the worst match with Suzuki in the last year. That's all I'll say about that.
Fair enough. I'm very limited on what his ring ability, I've seen probably 2 or 3 matches of his, and I've always been impressed with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that,
Yeah, I would recommend checking back on his stuff with Ring of Honor. It's like Beanbags is saying in the chat. If you haven't seen many guys of his size wrestle, then yeah, he's definitely impressive when you compare him to more proper big guys, like 90s big guys.
Yeah.
But just in today's day and age, you look at Jeff Cobb and he is so much more athletic and so much more impressive, and he's bigger than Elgin is. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I'm not necessarily trying to put it out there that Elgin is the best at what he does. I've definitely seen other big men do it better. Still, I can't help but be impressed when really any larger framed man is able to move relatively like a cruiserweight. That all said, that could have been just a few matches that I've seen of his that may not necessarily be indicative of his overall quality.
Sure.
I'm going to go with Suzuki again.
Right on. Next in line is a Chaos versus Los match. It's going to be a 10-man match. Chaos will be represented by Gedo, Hiroki Goto, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay, and Yoshihashi. And they'll be facing the entirety of Los, which is Bushi, Evil, Hiromu Takahashi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. I see somebody has already put their name down for a decision, so yes. Garvin, what do you think?
I am going with the Ingobernables. How do you say it? Ingobernables?
Los Ingobernables.
Not like that. You don't say it that way.
Yeah, if you want to shorten it, you just call them Los.
Los. I'm gonna go with them. They sound cool. No, actually, I like the overall vibe of that stable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. Sorry, I'm a cracker.
No worries. So if you're talking about Los Ingobernables de Japón, that's how you say it. They are a very formidable team. I'm not going to ever take that away from them. I don't know though. You put and granted, yes, Gato is on Chaos's team again, so there's always the risk that he's the one taking the pinfall yet again. But now, not only do you have Okada on this team, you also have Will Ospreay, and that's
the
a
biggest bitch out of them all.
Well, okay, but he's got some cool stuff that happens when he wrestles, So
He's no ticking time bomb.
Sure. I don't understand that reference, but sure.
That's Hiromu.
Gotcha.
Father of Daryl.
Right. Who could forget Daryl? Good old Daryl. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Chaos. I think, again, Okada's already such a powerhouse. Will Ospreay's been having a great, series of matches. And I think the only thing that Los Ingobernables has over Chaos is that their whole team is going on and they've worked as a team before. So that's always the possibility that gives them the edge. I don't know, man. I have a hard time picking against Okada.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit of 50-50 booking here. I fully expect Bushi to eat the pin here. Maybe Okada makes it. Maybe it's Yoshihashi. They seem to be in the vein of pushing him again for whatever reason. I fully expect Goto and Evil to beat the holy hell out of each other. That's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe some build to a potential title match between Ospreay and Hiromu. I rather doubt Okada and Sonata will lay hands on each other. We might see something between Naito and Okada, but yeah, I expect Bushi to eat the pin here. So yeah, I think Chaos is going to take this one. Next, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles are on the line. It's going to be Roppongi 3K versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks currently hold the titles. Do you think they retain, or do you think Roppongi 3K takes them back?
I would prefer it if the Jacksons kept their titles, because I really like them as tag champions. However, knowing that Roppongi had such a great showing, even in the losing effort against the Young Bucks, there's always potential that this is the one that finally puts them over the top and gets them their titles back. I'm going to stick with the Young Bucks, though. I will say it a million times. You can't beat the Elite, man. And they're a tough team. They're a very tough team. So I'm picking the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how New Japan books, like historically, if it's as cookie cutter as WWE style usually is.
I'm sure it's not, but that's
so
the booking I have. Most
typically speaking, they don't mind hot potatoing titles as much with the juniors as they do with the heavyweights. The exception being the 6-man titles, because who the fuck cares about them? They're just fun matches to watch. But yeah, like, this is the Bucks' 7th reign with these belts, and they would trade him all the time with Roppongi Vice, Red Dragon back when they were still independent. I don't see any reason personally why this would be any different, but they could retain. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna go with Roppongi just because Wrestle Kingdom they lost. Mm-hmm. So this is like a rubber match kind of thing. So I see it. I see them winning the title, and hopefully sometime soon we get a finale.
Yeah, I certainly would not be opposed to that. And assuming they went that way, it'd be pretty solid setup from night one. Assuming Chaos goes over the Elite, but and I love watching Roppongi 3K in action. Like, the Wrestle Kingdom show was the first time I'd seen him, and they showed me a lot. Like, I love Yo's slingshot offense. He makes it look fun in a way that guys like Dean Ambrose absolutely do not. With that said, I get the feeling that only one title is going to change hands on night 2, and I don't think it's going to be this one. So I'm going to pick in favor of the Bucks retaining on this one. The main event of night 2 in Sapporo. The Switchblade Jay White versus Kenny Omega for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. I am going to probably be the lone voice here in saying that Jay White makes good on his threat to Omega and takes that title.
It seems soon, though, don't you think? Like, I don't know. I liked Jay White, but I don't know if I see him like being a real title contender. Again, I'm very new, soon, but I don't know. It just seems like out of nowhere, especially with how high on the ladder Omega seems.
It is certainly soon, but given how behind the company seems to be, that they gave him the match with Tanahashi at all in the first place, and that he set his sights so high and he missed. I feel like they had to do something big with him in order to make people care. And the fact that he's now affiliated with Chaos, I think that gives him enough of an edge that he manages to take that title away from Omega, who is currently at the helm of a very fractured Bullet Club. So maybe him taking the title is that catalyst for full-on, for another attempted coup. Like before it was Tama Tonga, then he was Cody Rhodes. Maybe they go back to Cody. Maybe the Tongans just full on revolt. Or maybe Marty Scurll steps up next. I don't know, but I think there's going to be some kind of strife leading from this.
Definitely can see that for sure. I just don't know if Omega needs to lose the title for that.
I also think that Omega's going to retain. Even though the Bullet Club is fractured and Omega has a lot of, things on his plate. I mean, dude's clutch, man. He comes in a pinch, and outside of Okada, he typically tends to overcome the odds. So,
I mean, he lost to Naito in the G1 Climax.
That's fair, but I still think Kenny Omega has the edge here. I think he's the guy to beat right now outside of, the heavyweight champion.
Alrighty. Well, that is night 2 in Sapporo, and that, I think, will conclude our discussion for the evening. Any final thoughts on New Japan Takeover, the Rumble?
I got nothing.
No.
Fair enough. Then I think this is where we say goodbye. So you guys can find us on our homepage, fanstalkpodcast.com. That is where we post the shows. That's where you can find the archive. That is also where you can find links to our Facebook group and also to our Discord channel. That is where we hold live chats for events such as the ones we have previewed. We are going to be holding some manner of live chat for each of these events. I am going to be awake for the New Japan shows. Pray for me. This is going to be a really heavy wrestling weekend.
What's the official airtime for both night 1 and night 2?
Let me double check that. Night 1 is 4 a.m. on Saturday. I had it open. Night 2, I think, is 1 in the morning on Sunday. Let me double check that link. Sounds right.
And just to clarify, the transition from Saturday to Sunday. At 1 a.m.
When it becomes Saturday, New Japan Night 1 will air at 4 a.m. And when it becomes Sunday,
okay,
the 1 a.m. immediately after.
Cool.
It will be Night 2.
I doubt I'll make either, but we'll see. I'll definitely watch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Night 2 might be easier because that's like a couple hours separation between Takeover, but
yeah, they could be like 3-hour events a piece.
Probably not. I think it'd be closer to 4 or even 5.
I gotcha.
Probably in the 3 to 4 range. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because it's not Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, there will be somebody in the live chat for all 4 of those events. So if you want to join us, that's where you can find us. You can also find us on Twitter at Fans Talk Podcast. You can send us topics that you'd like us to discuss. Use the hashtag AskFTPW. If you consume the show through any podcatchers like Apple Podcast or Stitcher, or if you listen through an app like SoundCloud or TuneIn Radio, please leave us a rating, leave us a review. 5 stars, that would be fantastic. But if you feel like you need to be more honest with yourself and you feel less charitable, that would be fine as well.
6 stars is on for you.
We would welcome your feedback. We can only have 6 stars on this episode because we discussed Kenny Omega matches in New Japan. But yeah, just leave us your feedback, what you like, what you don't like. We'd love to hear from you guys. Next week, we're going to be reviewing all of what just happened in New Japan as well as WWE and NXT, so stay tuned for that. But until then, for Adam, Garvin, and everybody in the live chat, my name is Nick, and we will see you next time here on Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. Good night, y'all.